So it sounds like they've shared a piece
Just to
of
let you know.
Yeah, you sent it before of us.
Yeah, they're, like I said, we're just hanging on.
He didn't send it to everyone. He just sent it.
With that being said, so many good memories. Love it. Like you said.
He's so good about stuff. I didn't say it.
Yeah.
That's the best part.
It's so nice to have him make the motions.
Oh, yeah, because he's so thorough.
He does a really good job. Yeah, he knows it better than any of us. Okay.
I know, I wonder about it.
Yeah. Okay, we're gonna call to order. Could you do the roll call for us, please?
Bowersock,
Yes.
Triplett, yes. Stires,
Yes.
Oldfest,
Yes.
Pregnant, Vogel.
Yes. Okay, we need to approve the agenda.
I make a motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, are there any public comments about anything that isn't on the agenda? Welcome to those of you who are here. Approval of P&Z Commission Meeting Minutes, 15th, 2022. Motion?
So moved.
Second.
Can I make one correction?
Yes.
Just so you know, I read them. Item 11, it says somebody stated that in his 16, 17, that should be Doug, I believe, said that.
What did I say?
That keeps getting better. It just says stated that in his 16, 17 years on the commission, the staff keeps getting better response and thoroughness.
Oh, yeah, well, thank you.
It's a
Yeah.
subject.
But that was from all of us too, I think. We all agree
Yeah.
with that. We have a nice staff.
Yep.
And
Agree.
we realize when we read some of these things, it's kind of complicated, especially one of them tonight. When you read it. Come on. So, yeah,
It's just a
Same.
minor.
that's nice of you to say. Okay, with that, we have a motion and a second. Do we need a? Don't need-
You just have to ask if they all are in favor.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Item 6, recommend council approval, the rezoning petition for Holly Woods.
Good evening, Roger Silver with Nillis Associates. Here on behalf of Dean and Holly Quirk, who have first seen their preliminary plat come through, and now we need to do a little cleanup zoning. When we rezoned this for Andy Snetzelar, there was discussion about extended left lots, and so and we had some larger lots along the woods, along the southwest, and then we had an area of R2, thinking they may want to go to 8 or 75. So this area extended across here. So what we're asking is that this little gray area of R2 and a little piece of R2A that has now been absorbed into the Hollywoods reconfiguration be rezoned to R1 to match the rest of Hollywood. And so it's fairly simple. I would be glad to answer any questions or listen to your.
Pretty much what we requested prior.
Okay. Any other comments, questions? Kathleen, do you have anything?
No, as Doug indicated, yeah, that's really staff had originally asked for that, and you guys agreed with that, and the council motion is subject to that too as well, just so that we have the whole lot zoned.
Okay. With that, we could get a motion, that would be appreciated.
I'd make a motion that we recommend the council approval of the rezoning for Hollywood's from R2 and R2A to R1 as presented.
Second. Roll call, please.
Vogel,
Yes.
Bowersock,
Yes.
Triplett,
Yes.
Stires,
Yes.
Oldfest,
Yes.
Pregnant. Yes.
Okay, thank you. You're excused, or you can stay.
I think I'm the next one too.
Okay,
Tough one.
make it quick, right? All right, item number 7. Recommend the council approve the preliminary plat for Antler Ridge. You don't need to state the name again.
Thank you.
Thanks.
I think most of you probably may remember from several years ago, the concept plan that came in with rezoning. This is obviously not a specific page from that 12-page preliminary plat. There's a lot of area here, there's a lot of complexity. But I wanted to at least show you one that was a little bit of a conglomerate of the general street layouts, most of which has not changed. On the western side, it's just been slightly adjusted, reconfigured a little bit to match the appropriate street width and trying to provide room for easements, so a few adjustments made. As we get up to the north, there has been some little bit of change because of Southside Drive, which I'll talk about in just a minute. I'm showing you the concept for the commercial. That is not part of the preliminary plat approval. I just wanted you to see it because it does play a part in Snyder traffic study. They needed to know approximately where we were thinking about entering and exiting, and where that we had plans for detention. And I thought you would at least appreciate seeing at this moment the general idea of how the commercial might develop. I guess I'll talk phasing wise. The idea is that the first phase would include East Red Cedar Drive coming off 44th, just north of Hollywoods, to have some 2-family homes. And also phase 1 would include beginnings of some single-family development up in the northwest corner. Future phases would then connect this road and proceed on development to the south and the north. I've also shown in green here from day one our efforts to try and preserve as many of the existing trees. I mean, the configuration, the grading, a lot of that with the fact that we've got mature oaks and trees, and so we feel like we've continued to be successful with that. One of the major discussions that we've had with Snyder and staff is how to connect and proceed with East-South Side Drive, of which Polk owns the southern half, the county owns the north half. We're proposing as part of phase 1 to access East-South Side and asphalt coat to the northwest corner. Eventually, as this continues to develop, this will become a knuckle sack, and we work with the Hills and the neighbors to reconfigure their driveway to attach that. Southside Drive would at some point then be improved, coming from 44th over to a proposed intersection that, based on the topography, would serve as a good access point to the north should the time come when the Meckleys decide to come in and develop. There's another little ridge area in here where we think another extension of a cul-de-sac could provide some nice walkouts in that area. But in between these two areas, then Southside Drive would be abandoned. The utilities that are through there would continue to be easements on the back of deeper lots, and obviously none of this would happen until the streets shown in here are constructed, so that the traffic pattern getting all the way across would come through Antler Ridge. So obviously there's phasing to go through. Our goal this fall is to obviously get your approval on a preliminary plat, and then hopefully begin construction of a sanitary sewer so we can surcharge that and have it ready for actual lot and street construction next spring. I would be absolutely happy to answer any questions if you have specific areas you'd like to know about, but I think at that point, stop and ask for your approval. We have no problems with any of the staff comments that are remaining. In fact, I think the last 3 we've already addressed. We just haven't sent in the revised copy.
Okay, Commission,
Thank you.
members, questions? I have a couple. The two blue areas, phase one, when will the street phase two be constructed? With phase one? So it's like a connector street.
So. Until we get a second access, we can only have 30 lots or units off of any paved street. Pardon me.
All right,
I don't know what's
take your time.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And so that's why we're kind of coming in from two different
And
directions.
tell us why you can only have 30.
That's the subdivision regulations.
Ingress, egress.
Yeah.
Fire department?
Yep.
Okay, that's why.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
why it was added to the subdivision.
That's
I was
mainly
doing
my
it.
question.
Yep.
So essentially by coming in with, we were then able to offer two different unit types, which is a good thing to get it all started. And you can see that phase two would be to immediately then connect to this. So then we have
Okay, and then the upper left-hand corner, phase one, you have more than that number of units that you talked about, but that's okay with the fire department?
30 lots or units, I think we,
Is there 30 there?
yeah,
Oh,
there's
okay.
30 or less here.
Oh, okay, I didn't count them. Numbers are so small, I can't.
And we only have 17 down here, but because these are twin homes,
Okay,
and it's not actually 17, it's 17.
okay, so that's why you're at the 30 there. So you will not be constructing that through street at all, which I understand. Okay. And then, it seems like when this is done, there's a lot of traffic that's gonna come out into three areas, it looks like. Maybe four. And you've done a traffic study on all this.
Yeah. Yep.
Are we needing stoplights in the
There's
future
no
here?
traffic signals. There are some improvements that are associated with that traffic impact study. They have indicated turning lanes on both of the main entrances. There's another, potential entrance for commercial purposes, and we would probably update the traffic impact study when you know more, exactly what those uses are. As they indicated, they gave us a concept for what the commercial could be, but if it evolves into something else, we'll update it at that point in time. But no, there was not a need for a traffic signal there. The TIS did indicate that at some point there's going to be a need for a traffic signal at 415 and 44, which is off-site.
But nothing here.
Right.
Okay, and that's just traffic study.
Yeah. Yep.
And, all our grandkids go to Johnston, and we're driving down roundabouts all the time. People race around. It's kind of fun now.
Now you like roundabouts?
Oh, I don't like them in Europe because I'm driving on the wrong side. Do we consider those at all in the
Yeah, as a matter of
future?
fact, the traffic study at 40, that was listed as an option. We'd have to get the DOT to sign off on it, but at 44 and 415, they said that either a traffic signal or a roundabout at that location. It'd be a multi-lane roundabout, so it'd be 2 lanes, not just one like you've got at the school. So,
Okay, all right.
but we have it.
So we
quite
are
good,
gonna
actually.
have one up here, right?
Pardon?
We are gonna have one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Should be open.
Yeah, if you drive
30
up there,
to
you can
60
see
days.
it.
Oh, okay. I don't go up that way.
No.
I should. Okay. Those are my questions. Thank you.
I had one on the trail.
Okay.
Am I reading this right? There'd be a trail on the backside, which I take to be the west side of Lot Z, and then also on 44th Street.
Yeah, I mean, the trail is, I'll have Roger show it to you, but this is the same as we presented to you
Okay.
before, because if you remember when you originally approved Holly Woods, it was subject to a trail being, a good location for the trail being worked out in Antler Ridge.
Right.
And they came back with the second time, they did show it to you, and nothing's changed since then, but just to refresh your memory.
So all the colored thicker lines are trails. It's just a matter of whether they're to be constructed as part of the plat improvements, which are blue lines, so intersect cases where it's really not homeowner responsibility, constructed with the homeowners as part of the building permits in red. And then the green ones going north, 2 parallels are apart when the commercial. So obviously we'll have one along 44th, and we'll have another one here, which will allow some connectivity.
Well, on is it White Pine? Yeah, going on north there, that will eventually kind of meander through the Meckley property and get up to Northside Drive, somewhere in the vicinity of the park and cross. If you remember, on Big Creek Commons, where that old bridge is, there's there's an intention for a trail to hit East Northside Drive, kind of where there's a small bridge
Okay,
in Big Creek Commons, so then that would take you up to the regional park.
okay. Okay, smiling.
So where's the trail when they're terminating at that last cul-de-sac or that?
So the trail would come over and come across the street to the park. There's
Okay.
the location for the park and the little cutout here, because we do have some drainage from the existing pond in Laura's house. It cuts through and it's gonna potentially back up a little bit, so that on the park ground, which is why the car. But yes, we can essentially get into the park, and then if the park develops, if they wish to, they could potentially go on up, connect the street to connectivity. And at one point, we showed trails for the park, and we're kind of told, hey, let's not do that yet, because the park needs to decide.
Sure.
Is there any trails connecting the top part or to the left down into the park or into?
Well, of course, we have proposed public sidewalks all along here, but as far as the widened section of trail.
Yeah, it just depends where you're gonna connect to further over there, really, there's not.
Yeah, and part of the reason it's going to the north on White Pine is because just to the north of Southside Drive, there's a pretty good ravine there, and there's not a real good way to cross,
This
so.
is extremely deep behind the
Because
ground.
originally, I think the comp plan did show it farther west, but as you start looking at the practicality of that, it didn't, yeah.
So is there sidewalk then on, I can't read these little small numbers, 189, 190, 191, 192?
There'd be sidewalk on both sides of the street.
But on that, yeah.
Yeah.
What's there?
Those up top.
Yeah, those up top. How does that connect into your side?
There's sidewalks
Well, these
along every single street.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
did show it, and I apologize,
That's
the thickness of the line in this case, that's why we did the blow-up drawing. Yes, there is sidewalk along
Okay.
the front of those.
So
Just the south side.
now on the other side.
So then east-south side drive over to the east, there'll be a stub there that will get addressed at
Yeah.
some point in time.
Yeah, I mean, it'll have a T intersection at White Pine, but initially it'll just have, the T will only go to the south. But that will be then a connection point for whenever the Meckley property develops to the north.
Yeah, it just seems like a little stub piece that's kind of sitting there. It's an odd location, right?
Well, I mean, it'll be through though, it won't,
It'll go through east, you're saying?
well, it'll go through to the south. I mean, is that what you're talking about, or are you talking
Yeah,
about?
is it tee off there?
Yes.
Though it tees
Yeah.
there, right?
Yeah, so initially it'll just be an L, I guess, if you wanna call it that. But which is kind of common in development projects, but we're providing a point of connectivity, so they
Yeah,
get
I'm-
through Collector Street.
I'm okay with the phase, I'm just even saying long-term, it just seems like it's a duplication.
Yeah, well, again, part of it's due to that ravine. It will, as it moves to the north, it won't be as parallel to 44th, it'll start swinging to to the west, in accordance with the comp plans.
Right.
The topography is kind of an issue through that area. This one, I guess we haven't mentioned it, but this one will have, the lots as they're laid out do conform with the more restrictive zoning of the building envelope area. But before they do final plat, we'll also do another cleanup rezoning so that the zoning matches the lot lines, just because there have been some changes to the concept. Just makes it cleaner in terms of enforcement, then there's not the question of which zoning district does the lot fall in. And quite frankly, from my perspective, it also makes the map better. It's not confusing as to why in the world, 20 years from now, why the zoning is so strange, so. But rather than have them go through that before you have, we didn't want to go through it and then have something change it as we're going through the approval process, so.
What's the address for the 192, 191, 190, 189?
We have not assigned addresses yet.
But if it's currently, so in the other house that's there,
East
is
South
that,
Side Drive.
is their address gonna change too?
This existing home,
The one that you said that you had to do the knuckle to, oh yeah, I guess the existing one
Well,
there.
the one on the knuckle two, they're in Polk County, so their address will remain a county address.
I'm talking street address, so like
Yeah.
right now it's 110, right?
It's, well, I'm not sure how that works. I mean, it's 100, it is East South Side Drive on Polk City side, it's northwest 110, which is the way it is right now. You have there's the homes that are on the north side are addressed off 100, northwest 110. Ones on the south side are addressed off of East South Side Drive.
And that will probably remain until there's any annexation done
Yeah.
on the north side.
And are we annexing that? or
That
is
would
it
be
being-
voluntary.
Only if Meckley's or
Yeah,
whoever would,
yeah.
or the people right along.
We're not to this point, we're not actively going towards it.
Yeah, it's a weird scenario.
Very similar to what we've had on Hug Drive.
Yeah.
Where Polk City was south and Polk
Actually,
County was north and.
yeah, it's real common because state law requires you to annex to the center line. So pretty much anytime you do annex, unless you annex and hop over to the rear of the property lines, you're gonna be following center line.
So Hills is the only house there, and you'll bring that driveway over to the knuckle then, you're saying?
and obviously we got some, to contact them and discuss that. But
Yeah.
They will still continue to have access to Southside Drive and how it's
Okay.
discussed on this evening.
Yeah. And we are in discussions with Polk County on that as well. I mean, since technically they're in Polk County, we're giving them the option of if they want to approach the Hills first and talk to them about it, or exactly how that's gonna factor in. Because with respect to this plating, the intent would be that Polk City would vacate the south half of the right-of-way. It sounds like that's what Polk County would be doing in terms of vacating the north half. It's possible they still want to keep, I'm not sure if they want to vacate that part to the Hills, or if they want to keep a part of it, or keep it as easement. So there's some of those little details that we'll be working out with Polk County.
So the people that live there currently don't have a clue that this is gonna, that this is what you're all proposing?
I
Not
can tell
unless-
you they want something paved.
Yeah,
All the people that live and have access off of East Southside Drive, that has been their number one priority for as long as I've worked for the city, so 8 years now.
Yeah.
So I think as long as everybody is willing to compromise and work together, I think everyone will be happy to
And there's
have
no
paved
intention.
access.
yeah, and there's no intention to assess them, so
Right.
that would be a benefit to them if they get a paved road, without essentially have to pay for.
A paved road that they have to go south and then over, right?
Which again,
Go
I
through
think-
a residential, they're not current.
Which again, I think that they would prefer based on my conversations, because one of their biggest concerns when we were originally doing the rezoning for the Polk County folks, or even people in Polk City, was the amount of added traffic to their road, which this then will avoid that, because I mean, yes, they'll have to drive farther to get to their own home, but there won't be additional traffic going by their home. So unless they change their mind, but that was always their main concern when they've had conversations with me.
Right, but again, they're in Polk County, and Polk County,
Right.
how Polk County wants to address that is
Correct.
kind of up to them.
Who's the next two parcels to the east of Hills? There's two little triangle.
On the south side of the road or the north?
North side, is that Meckley's? or-
I think,
No,
Yeah.
Beckley's going to the east, yeah.
Okay, so that's all.
And I've had
same
quite a
owner,
few
yeah.
conversations with them.
They just didn't want to landlock it with or something.
Yeah, and actually, this is shown up here as a picture, so this line. So it's
Yeah,
actually like
yeah,
a small
you just put a
parcel.
concept in there.
Yeah.
else? Okay, thank you. With that, I'd like someone to make a recommendation.
I'd make a motion to recommend to council approval of the preliminary plat for Antler Ridge, based on the staff review and recommendation dated September 15th, 2022.
And could I add, and review comments?
And review, okay, yes. Mhm.
Thank you. Second. Okay, we have a motion and a second. We have a roll call, please.
Vogel,
Yes.
Bauersma,
Yes.
Triplett,
No.
Spires,
Yes.
Oldfest,
Yes.
Pregnant.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. You guys can go ahead if you want. But you're welcome to stay also if you like. She won't disturb us if you leave. Number 8, reports and particulars. Council liaison. City manager. City clerk.
Yes, sir.
Kathleen,
I don't have anything.
forgot what to call you.
City engineering representative.
There you go. Commission members.
Just have one question, Kathleen, maybe you know, I noticed that, I think DOT tore out trees next to Lakeside Church there where the bike trail goes in front of the residential house. I didn't know if there was plans to connect that trail right through there.
Well, the
That-
initial thing is the trees were removed, I believe it's actually Public Works that removed them for a water main, to complete the water main loop. So the water main was extended by the church to their west property line.
Yep.
And it was already on Parker, so we had this 200-foot-ish
So,
gap in
Yep,
the
yep.
loop system. So that's the initial thing, but the intent is also at some point that they would be, don't ask me what year, but it's coming up that they want to do the,
Okay, it's
The
a
trail
water main
connection.
at this point.
yeah, but initially the water main, get that in so that you don't have to,
That was
do
the
trail removal for the water main.
Missing link for getting all the way down to the lake.
Yeah.
That I
Yeah.
noticed, so I just was curious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're actually working on a concept plan for that and for the trail connection between Quick Start down to the Neil Smith Trail.
Nice.
So that would be probably part of the same project then.
That'd be a nice.
Have to, yeah, I mean, we have to obviously get the Corps of Engineers approval on that because it would cross their property as well. So that's in the works too.
Yeah. Okay, just curious.
Anybody else? One thing, is there any progress on Ivy?
No, sir.
They're just holding off this.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, man.
You're welcome.
All right, with that, I need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
I need a second.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All would like to stay here. Stay here. Thank you very much. Thanks again for everything.
Thank you, Amber.
Thank you. Bye.
We'll see everybody in a month.
Yep.